legally sanctions absolution from oaths, which is something which Yahweh does not do, even if it means a few people are going to die. Gibeonites, the point I raised, the point was Gibeonites, Canaanites were supposed not to be touched purely because an oath was given. Now let me go back to a few points you raised. Thankfully, Shabbir, quite early in the conversation, thankfully, you said we could end the conversation here. Because you said, obviously, Islamic Allah is different from the Bible. The only, Shabbir, no, you're not supposed to.
No.
Shabbir.
No, Arul.
Okay, let you speak and then start.
Now, do not put words into my mouth which I have not said. You did that with those two brothers. I noticed. One second, Arul. Yeah,
viewers would notice again, Shabbir. The point you made.
Look, the viewers, I appreciate and I respect the viewers, whoever they may be. But what you are doing is being very conniving, and that is not very Christian-like. Okay? Let me say.
Shabbir, you are not my judge here. Let's get back to my turn.
My judge. Let me say what I want.
And I never judged you. I let you make your point when you were making points.
Listen. I said to you at the start, I want a decent conversation. You are making too many snide remarks, and I am aware of them. 1 second, let me finish. Let me finish. I don't come here to have these kinds of banter. I come here to have a reasonable conversation. Now, you must understand something you seem to not be able to understand. If I have given my response,
you then wait for me to speak.
1 second, no. When I have given my response, it is entirely your decision to say whether I answered it or not. However, after I have given my response, I asked a question. That is what you should respond to first before you go on to your other points.
That is what you are dictating. That is not true.
It's only
Shabbir, I let you speak. Can I speak now? It's my turn. You just seem to be offended.
No, I'm not offended. So, I just think you're being very conniving.
Thank you. Let everyone judge. Sure. Let people judge. And let an overall, God judges overall. Shabbir.
Are you doing this for the people of Arul?
Shabbir.
Come on.
Why did you bring the cameras?
Eh?
Why did you bring the cameras?
Why did you wait for the cameras?
Because I want people to listen. You don't seem to want to do that for some reason. I don't know why.
I do, but in a reasonable way.
Shabbir. Let's not do these. We don't. I mean.
Can you just go ahead?
So. Anyway, all the deception
don't worry
showing
about us. Worry about you.
No, that's fine. So, you somewhere in your response, you essentially said we could end the conversation here, and you said if the Quran goes against the Bible, which seems to be the case here, Islamic Allah legally sanctions absolution from oath, and here in the Bible, Yahweh thinks even in the worst of your situations, you still need to keep your oath. That seems to be the polar opposite difference. And you suggested when we encounter such a difference, the only recourse you would have is to suggest that the Quran is the one which supersedes. You said the biblical revelation has been superseded by the Quran according to the Quran. I think you mentioned Surah chapter 5, I think. That is what you said. I didn't put words into your mouth. You can check out your recording. That was your explanation. I'd like to thank you at least for saying that you haven't got any other valid explanation for the fact that there is polar opposite characteristic between the Islamic Allah and Yahweh clearly showing up there. You then also went on to make a remark about the Quran talking about us having to be just and so on and good and so on. You made that at the start. My problem is this. If a person makes 10 truthful statements and 2 untruthful statements, by simple convention of language and practice, we'd call him a liar, not a truthful man. The moment you have one immoral attribute, and in this case that being absolution of oaths, i.e. not having to keep your word, if that is what is coming from Islamic Allah, we could go through all other attributes a bit later. The moment we see this, we already see an immoral Islamic Allah who can't be reconciled with the Yahweh of the Bible. You also said Islamic Allah might have suggested this. I don't think you made this point quite in this way, but you were talking about whatever Islamic Allah said was for our benefit, not for his benefit, not for the benefit of the Creator and so on. Absolutely, that is not the point here. I'm not asking who benefits from what. All that I'm asking is, what is the characteristic of Islamic Allah versus the characteristic of Yahweh? Islamic Allah seems to be quite casual with, even for simple things about this lady and that lady, even for simple things like that, he seems to be quite alright with people not keeping their word. And I'm saying Yahweh does not allow that to happen.
Okay, no problem.
In other words,
One second,
I'll come.
You are taking too much time.
But
Let's
making sensible
restrict it.
comments
Not
about
at
the
all.
topic we're talking about.
They are illogical.
Islamic
Can
Allah
we just
is
restrict
polar
it?
opposite to Yahweh.
Okay.
You haven't
Right.
given a reasonable
Right.
explanation as to why this is the
Okay.
case.
Can
I could suggest, if you just
No,
give
no,
me
no.
one more
No,
minute,
no.
I could
Arul,
suggest
come on.
why
Be
this is
fair,
the
be
case.
fair.
1 minute,
No,
and
no,
you can.
no, it's my-
I could suggest why this is the case, and the suggestion that I have is, the God of the Bible, with all his signs and wonders, is the only true God
Okay.
who cares about morality. Islamic Allah, on the other hand, doesn't seem to have a proper standard of morality. And in this particular case,
fine.
not caring to
Right.
stick to his word.
Okay.
Therefore, I earnestly invite you to come to the one who has a superior moral standard, Yahweh. Islamic Allah
Yeah.
would not even keep his word in regards to you going to heaven. Forget about him.
Right.
Come back to Jesus.
Okay. Now, you see, Arul, you made so many points, but the ones that I would really like to respond to are the ones that are appropriate to the conversation. I said to you very clearly, my coat is
Whose
getting heavy.
is this?
Right, it's no, right, Arul. You see, you said something quite important. Yeah, you said if a person tells eight truths and 2 lies, you, according to your standard of the Bible, would consider him a liar.
Normal convention.
No, I was going to come to that. 1 second. And you also said that, conventionally speaking, that is how one would be viewed. Okay, no problem. I asked you, and I even told you, and I'll repeat it again just in case you missed it. When you referred to that particular surah, I then said in response, look, in Surah 4:135, this is what it says about how we have to be just even against ourselves. Now, what you seem to have totally missed is that if there is any issue about the suspension or the absolution of oaths, there is a specific reason to it. I think it totally missed you. I then referred to N294 of the 613 commandments as evinced by the Jewish scholars. They say that it is not a sin if you are going to be accused of a sin which was done under duress. Now, I then said to you, wait a minute, Arul, if you are saying 8 truths and 2 untruths makes the person by convention a liar, I then said to you, okay, Ezekiel chapter 14 verse 9 says that God directly deceived. Now,
Never does.
Whoa. 1 second. God directly deceived. I'll read it again for the purpose of clarification.
Show me, just because you brought that up, Shabbir, show me one person in the Bible who God deceived. One person,
Arul,
please.
calm down. I didn't interject. Now I've told you very clearly. I am asking you, and I did, brother, is there a problem? Are you talking to me or are you talking to him? Oh, okay, that's fine. Ezekiel 14:9. Brother, I know I'm disturbing you, but can you just pull up the word invade again? Right? And you see, now it will make sense to you when I said that, look, if we wanted to end this conversation with one statement, and there are a few others which I haven't even referred to yet, one statement, here, chapter 14, verse 9 of the book of Ezekiel is very clear. Okay? I want you to tell me, when it says here, I am Jehovah, and when the prophet is inveigled so that he speaks a word, I, Jehovah, have inveigled that prophet. What does the word inveigh mean?
Persuade someone to do something by means of deception or flattery.
Now, does it say here that the Creator, Jehovah, according to the biblical understanding, deceived this particular individual? Yes or no?
Shabbir, I am willing
it's a
to have a
simple
long
question. It's a simple
I know,
question.
but
Yes or no?
irrelevant to the conversation now.
Arul, 1 second. I'll tell you how it is relevant. You need to expand your understanding. Yeah? You see, Arul, if according to your understanding and your view, which you hold strongly, Arul, you said very clearly, a person who says 8 truths and 2 lies conventionally is called a liar. I'm saying, listen, you are referring to 2 Samuels, you are referring to how oaths must be held to. I'm saying to you, wait a minute, how in the world are you trusting something where the very author is saying that he is a deceiver? Now, I'm asking you a simple question. According to this verse, Arul, does it say God deceived this person? Yes or no?
Shabbir, is that your turn?
No, I'm asking first, and then I can go forward. Yes or no? Is it saying...
My response, Shabbir, is clear. Yahweh of the Bible, I have read my Bible carefully, right through, and I can challenge you, God of the Bible does not deceptively act. Period.
Okay, Arul.
Period.
Arul.
Now, can I please also suggest that's an ocean
Arul, my friend,
you can hide in,
Arul,
which I don't want to happen.
Arul, you
can
are drowned in it. I am not even hiding.
That's
Listen
fine.
to me, Arul.
Can we please come back?
I have come back. I don't think you are conceiving of what I'm saying. I'll simplify it a bit more. Listen, Arul. I said to you, if you are going to accuse, or rather suggest that the allows willy-nilly, according to you, to break oaths, I'm saying, wait a minute, I have explained to you. Are you familiar with the 613 commandments as evinced by the Jewish scholars? Are you familiar with them?
I am.
You are. So in 294, where it says very clearly, one second, where it says very clearly that, look, if a person sins under duress, they are not to be punished. Now, you see, Arul, you need to expand your thinking. What I mean by that is that there are going to be reasons or certain actions that are going to be undertaken by people which were forced on them. So, for example, if somebody forces you or puts you under pain of death to deny the Creator, and you deny the Creator, are you found guilty according to N294? The answer is no. I know you will not respond. Okay? Now, I'm asking you a simple question, Arul. According to your standard, this standard of keeping oaths even to death, as you said, I'm asking you a simple question based on that. According to the very same book, which is talking about the God that you believe in, which is apparently polar opposite, in Ezekiel 14:9 is saying very clearly, he deceives a person directly. I'm asking you a simple question, Arul, in the context of this moral aspect. Do you agree that according to Ezekiel 14:9, here I'm reading it, it is saying God deceived this particular individual? Yes or no?
Which individual?
Do you want to read it? I thought you've read the Bible.
I know. Which individual? Do you have a specific name there? Please
I'll
bring
read
that
it
up.
again. It actually says, I have deliberately deceived the prophet.
Which one?
Does it matter now?
It really
Oh,
matters.
excellent. Let's go
Because
back.
you seem.
Excellent.
This is what
excellent.
Samshi did the other day.
No.
This is what Samshi did the other day.
Excellent.
He brought in a case where
Yeah,
God hadn't deceived anyone, but because Samshi can't read beyond a particular word, not the entire statement.
Excellent. The whole thing here is about what? Prophets.
Which
False
prophets?
prophets?
Which ones?
Here, false ones. Okay. Now, I'm asking.
So which
you-
particular prophet is that talking
one
about?
second. What, do you want the context as well? No problem.
Which particular prophet is that talking about?
I'm so glad you're asking me that. It means you have taken actually a step forward. Good.
Now, but-
now,
but-
one second.
I'll let you finish, and then I need to move on now.
No, here it is. It is taking you and some of the elders of Israel at chapter 14. Start. Okay? It talks about them. You carry on reading it. Here is the classic issue which you are now trying to...
Have you got
One
an
second.
answer, Shabbir?
I'm giving you
Which
the answer.
which prophet was deceived?
I'm giving you the
Please
answer.
give me the answer.
I am giving you the answer. Okay? I am telling you here, when it comes all the way back to here, the question that is being asked and you are now trying to avoid is simple. Can you read yours as well?
No, Shabbir,
Read yours
I'm
as well.
not.
Oh, come on, Arul, come
I'm
on.
not here.
It is a very
I'm
important
not here
issue.
to play
Okay, Arul.
some little games here. I'm here to deal with serious
I'm trying
moral
to, but I think
issues.
Brother Arul is having
Shabbir,
a problem.
my challenge in that regard.
It's a moral issue. I'll tell you what.
Have you finished now?
One second. No,
I'll let you finish.
I asked you a very simple one. 3 times I'm asking, and I'll ask you again. Okay? The whole of the chapter is there. You can read it as well. I'm here. I'm telling you where it is talking about. I, Jehovah, am going to reply to him. I, Jehovah, have deceived that prophet and will swing my hand over him and rout him out. The question you are asking, will listen to your logic. I'm saying to you, wait, whether it's James, John, Jesus, Muhammad, Arul, Shabbir, whoever, the issue is not that. The issue is, does it say that he, God, is the one deceiving? Yes or no?
Is that an end of your term?
No, I'm asking a
No,
question.
you're asking me
Come on,
many
Arul.
questions.
I haven't asked you, I've only asked you one. Does it
For
say
how
here?
long?
Does it say here? Because you are not
For how long?
answering. You keep going all over.
No, you
I'm
make your
asking-
points and then let me respond. Please,
Arul,
Shabbir.
you have been accustomed to having these kinds of discussions. I don't have discussions like this. I said a conversation, and part of the conversation is that when a question is asked, like you had asked me, I responded to it.
I never
I'm
asked you
ask-
such questions. I finished
Arul.
I presented
Arul,
to you a
last.
case for
Arul,
you to
I'm
respond
saying,
back.
okay, I'll tell you what, in 2 points. Number one, I gave you a very clear indication of what the Creator is saying to us. If you want to misconstrue it, that's entirely your decision about the Quran in Surah 66.
So-
okay, one second, let me finish. Yeah, I now am saying to you, look, whatever basis of morality you seem to hold as being superior from the Bible, I am saying to you, look, according to the standards of the Bible, everything, unfortunately, is a total fail. Why? Because this verse here, which again you still are resisting and coming out with, which prophet that? No, the issue is not who the person being, who the person being addressed is or ought to be. The issue here is a simple one, and I'm going to ask you one last time, and I hope you have the courage to answer. It says here, I, Jehovah, have deceived that
Can you
prophet.
give the definition again,
Now,
please?
can I ask
Please.
you, one second, can I ask you, do you agree that here it says that Jehovah deceived?
So, Shabbir, the definition he brought up before us, persuade, not deceive, persuade to do something. That's the definition, not deceive. Persuade to do something by means of one of 2 things, according to this definition. One of 2 things. One of them is deception, and the other one is flattery. That is the definition here. Now, if you want to run, now, excuse me, Shabbir, I am now answering. Before,
I'm not saying anything.
good, thank you. If you would listen, please.
I'm listening
My
to you.
point is
I
this.
can do 2 things
My
at the same
the
time.
reason, the reason I asked you for the name of the prophet there is not because I wanted to find who you think Yahweh was deceiving, but rather my point was because we disagree on the definition, on the meaning of the statements that you are reading, I wanted us to go through the illustration of the example for us to clearly see Yahweh of the Bible does not deceive. There was a particular case I had a discussion with Samshi, where the illustration involved false prophets, Yahweh himself, true prophet, and a king. If you take every single entity involved in that conversation, which Samshi thought God was deceiving, none of them was deceived.
Right.
Every single one knew that a lying spirit had gone out with lies, and had spoken to false prophets.
Okay.
Every single one of them knew.
Yeah.
No deception involved. Some she could not even read the context entirely. He was sticking to one word here, one word there. And that seems to be what you are doing there. And that is where I wanted an illustration. Anyway, my point is this. The explanation you have given, what I wanted to discuss about today was about keeping oath. And the point there is, Yahweh of the Bible sticks to his word no matter the cost.
Arul.
No matter the cost.
Sorry,
Islamic
Arul,
Allah.
What are you saying? No,
Islamic
no.
Allah.
Come on, you are not being fair now.
Islamic
Arul,
Allah, on the other hand,
Arul, let's go back to the word
Surah
in
66, verses 1, 2, 3, if I could
Arul,
read.
let's go
O
back to the word in
Prophet,
there.
why prohibit you that which Allah has made lawful for you, seeking to please your wives? What duress is involved here? No duress is involved. I'm not saying under duress you can lie. I'm not saying under duress you can break your oath. I'm not suggesting that at all. Yahweh never suggests that to happen. But all that I'm saying is, purely because you brought duress into the picture, I'm just clarifying to you, clearly there is no duress involved. This is a domestic issue between a man and a couple of his wives. That seems to be the problem. No duress involved, unless you're going to suggest Aisha threatened to kill Muhammad, or some other wife of Prophet Muhammad threatened to kill him. If that is what you're going to suggest, that's fine. Allah has made lawful for you, lawful,
Arul,
legal for you,
Arul.
absolution from your oaths, and Allah is your protector. And it goes on to say, when the Prophet confided a fact to one of his wives,
Arul.
and when she afterwards divulged it, and Allah informed him of it, he made known part of it and passed over part.
Yes.
The point here is, if you both turn to Allah repentant, what is repentant according to him?
Yeah.
Not having to keep your oath is repenting.
Right, okay.
To me, that's a weird definition of repentance, and that is a weird moral character
excellent.
which is of God.
Okay.
And therefore, my suggestion,
Right,
Shabbir,
yeah,
is
okay.
instead of you trying to get all your dictionaries and all that, I'm
Arul,
willing to
Arul,
have
are
a
you
long
running?
conversation.
Are you running?
I'm willing to have a long
second,
conversation
Arul.
of whether Yahweh of the Bible is a deceiver, or if
Arul.
Allah is the greatest of
Arul.
deceivers, Islamic Allah. I'm willing to have that long conversation, but not today. The
Right.
point today is keeping oaths. Islamic Allah doesn't care to.
Right.
He advances the idea of not keeping it.
Okay.
Yahweh wants
I'll-
people to keep it. He is the only true God. Islamic Allah either does not exist or is subhuman in moral character.
Arul, please stop preaching so much. Okay, listen. I said very quickly, we are going to conclude now. I think it's, all I said to Brother Arul was, if the foundation is totally destroyed, then anything above it is just pie in the sky, respectfully. Now, this one? Okay. Now, here is what I said. What Brother Arul tried, he tried a quick one, and I don't blame him, he had to. He quickly asked you to bring up the thing, the definition. And he then used the other words, apart from deception, he used the other words which according to him may apply to that. And I said Ezekiel 14:9, I'm going to read it again. All I want you to do is respond now, okay? It's a very simple thing, okay? It says here, and if the prophet be deceived and speak a word, I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet. Now, do you agree that the word here is deceived?
The word used here is but the
deceived.
statement is much wider than the word, and the meaning of the statement must be understood in the context of the passage.
I'm so glad. You see, you must do it in the context. You must do it in the context.
Yes,
Yet,
wives,
one second.
keeping it.
One second. When it comes to Islam, as I had said earlier on, I said, look, you need to understand. Just reading like this doesn't work. However, what you cannot escape from right now is, does it say here, God deceived the prophet? I'm asking.
Can you please make your point?
I, the
Shabbir?
Lord,
Can you
what
please?
does I, the Lord, have deceived
Can you
me?
please make your point
Arul,
first?
I'm asking you a simple question. It's English. I, the Lord, have deceived. What does it mean?
So if I
What does it mean?
Shabbir, let's not play simple games here. The point, the fact of the matter, the fact of the matter, Shabbir.
Respectfully, I would say one thing. Go and learn a bit more and then we'll have a conversation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah?
But Shabbir,
because, one second.
That's fine.
Because,
I'm willing.
Arul, I've asked a simple question and all I want is a simple answer before we conclude. Does it say, I the Lord deceive?
That's not the nature of any conversation, Shabbir.
Does it say, I the Lord deceive?
Shabbir, a simple point here is that you don't seem to know how to read a statement in its context. Now, obviously, we disagree on this particular regard. I challenge you for a detailed debate, and when we do that, I encourage you to bring examples of a few people who God Yahweh deceived, and we could deal with those detailed cases. That's fine.
Arul, I tell you what, you have said something very sensible now. Listen, you know what you did?
I'm not asking you for your comment on your evaluation. You seem to jump up and down in terms of your evaluation.
I followed you. I'll go with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I said to you, Arul, you have come up with a very good idea now.
Yes.
Honestly.
Now,
Yeah? No,
but
one
before
second.
that,
Arul,
can we please finish up what we are doing
We've
now?
already concluded. God is
The
a deceiver
conclusion,
according to the Bible.
the conclusion
That's
is
the end of it.
Islamic
This one-
Allah does
Yeah.
not keep His word.
You are
Yahweh
entitled
of the
to that
Bible
opinion.
keeps His word. This is
You
not
are
my opinion.
entitled to that
This is straight from your Quran and straight
Arul,
from my Bible.
How can it be when Ezekiel 49
No
says he
opinions
deceives? Come on.
involved.
Yeah? Okay.
About
no worries.
deception, I'm willing to have a
I'll tell you
long
what.
conversation.
No, I'll tell you what.
When we do that,
Arul.
by all means, bring an example of a person who Yahweh deceived, and then we can see what the
Right.
nature of the dynamic involved is,
Okay.
and then talk about that.
Okay,
please.
I'll tell you what we'll do, Arul. Yeah, I'm going to conclude. Look, I respectfully would say that anyone who has, and I don't mean this about you, anyone who has any logical approach, an intelligent approach to subject matter would actually address the matter in detail rather than doing what our brother here just did by referring to one verse. He didn't pay any attention to the verses I had brought up, which clearly are potentially conflicting, but it means that you need to understand what and how oaths ought to be administered. Okay? Now, I can say very clearly that look, if you are going to take the Quran as the basis for understanding, then I would equally want to take the Bible as a basis for understanding, and in that regard, I said to Arul very clearly that according to the Bible, it's very clear. I read the statement from the Bible that God deceives. Now, if according to the verses, and there's only one, there are many others we can address, but what I would not want to do, as Arul has done, is just take one, sometime totally out, and he did refer to the context, totally out of context. I do know one thing, that if we have a detailed discussion, subject matter chosen and subject matter will be abided by, rather than what Arul did quickly, came here and changed the whole goalpost. I forgive him for it anyway. Yeah? At the end of the day, I can have with you, Arul, a detailed discussion, debate, call it what you want, on a subject matter, and I can confidently assure you, you will agree with me that the Bible ought not to be the book collectively as guidance for humanity.
So shall we...
One second, if I can just... Yeah, so what I want you to do, Arul, agree with me a particular topic and don't change it midway.
I did not change it.
No, you
Shabbir.
changed it totally when you came.
Nature, moral nature of God, and I specifically chose. Go on, I let
we
you
had
finish.
agreed legal elements. The video is up,
Yeah.
and
You can check out the video.
And that's one of
Nature
them.
of God.
And that's one
Nature
of them.
of
No,
God is an expression I used.
No, I said it should have been a collective one. Yeah, I'll tell you why, brother. You see,
Sammy,
he
I
went
didn't realize you were the
specific.
Supreme Court Justice
I honestly, I can take this and ride with it, hold it. I don't want that. We
Shabbir,
want to
no
come to
problem.
a common
So,
understanding.
Worst case, there
I'll
has
tell
been
you
a
what.
misunderstanding,
No,
possibly.
not worst case.
But best
no
case,
misunderstanding. You changed the
that
goalpost.
I disagree with.
You are
Morality,
Yeah.
Torah versus Sharia, nature of God, Yahweh versus Islamic
Okay,
Allah
right.
are the statements are the expressions I used. You can check up the video later. But if you have a grievance there, I'm willing to concede by saying, you know what, in a communication between human beings, there is a chance that things could have been misunderstood. I am willing to have a more detailed sort of definition this time. But just to quickly add, let's read this. What does Yahweh say? Ezekiel 14, 8, 9, 10. I will set my face against that man and make him a sign and a proverb. I will cut him off from the midst of my people. This is in regards to the one you think Yahweh intends to deceive. What does God say? I'm going to judge him. Even before you get to verse 9, he's talking about him judging him. I'm going to cut him off. Then you shall know that I am Yahweh. And if the prophet is induced to speak anything, I, the Lord, have induced that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand against him and destroy him from among my people Israel. So this is a dealing with false prophets. I'm willing next time, if you wanted to get into the details of this, I'm willing to debate this in detail. But that is what we find here. But respectfully, Shabbir, the point is simple.
Just and unfair again. Look, I'm going to make this very simple, and then we will discuss it very quickly. I said to you, God deceives. I read the verse.
That's not even a full verse.
One second.
That's just 2 words.
1 second. Whether there is context to it, whether there is X, Y, and Z reason for why God was justified, because that's what you are effectively saying. God was justified in deceiving. My view is simple. I'm just asking 1 second. All I asked was, did God deceive? Yes or no?
Shabbir, excuse me, Shabbir. I would be extremely surprised if what you were trying to do by picking 2 words in an entire statement is similar to what I did. When you brought in the idea of duress, when you brought in the idea of duress, I was willing to expand on the context, get into the fact that this has to deal with Muhammad, with a couple of his wives and so on. That is, I was willing to expand on the context, which you weren't willing to do. Shabbir,
I'm not aware of what I was saying.
Shabbir,
let's decide on
do you
what?
have an answer for the
what?
Shabbir? Okay, Shabbir,
Arul. Forget all that. You are speaking to Shabbir. I'm telling you now. Listen. Let's just quickly agree. We need to drive.
I know. You need to go a long way.
Let's agree on a subject matter and don't move the goalpost next time.
I did not move.
Yes,
I disagree with you.
Yes, you did.
That's fine.
I said legal elements right across. New Testament.
Check out.
Did we cut the New Testament?
New Testament. I'll tell you precisely what Jesus says in regards to oaths. I can tell you that.
It doesn't matter. It was a wonderful debate.
No problem, inshallah. Look,
Shabbir.
Anything on 2 oaths that will do, forgive me, that was not the intent.
No. Neither.
What we do?
Neither.
Not at all. Not at all. But what we do, next time we have, let's talk on the Bible and the Quran in the context of what the Creator is. Remember, not the Creator.
It's a very wide area.
We
have done this already, even the last time.
Okay, I tell
Check
you what.
out your video. I already mentioned this is a wide area.
Next time, can you
Choose
speak to the
a couple
Torah
of.
and the Quran?
No, choose a couple of
Why not?
specific. I'm answering already.
Okay, go ahead.
Choose a couple of specific attributes, and they in themselves are oceans. And that is why my suggestion is if you want to exchange contact details, absolutely, that's wonderful. So we can we can precisely even describe the wording,
Thank you.
the proposition.
Give me
of the
the thing,
discussion.
and we'll agree with it, and then we'll put it up so everybody knows. In that way, nobody can think we are playing quick one.
Write it down.
Ask him to sign it.
No.
Because I saw that video. He did not use the word Bible. He kept repeating the word Tanakh. Tanakh. This is why I asked him, what is the Tanakh made of? And today, he backs off. Such is his scholarship.
Yes, so shall I give you my contact?
Oh, that's fine. Email. Yeah. Give me that.